Hi, and welcome to the Dingers Podcast, episode 55. This is your host, Mitch. I'm here with my boys, Kevin, Jeff, and Jake. How are you guys tonight?
Not too bad. How's everybody else doing? It's starting to cool off, and here in Iowa at night, there's not a lot of humidity, so that's great.
Yeah, it's finally you're able to go outside and you don't just sweat and feel like you're breathing through a cheese grater or something. It's so thick.
Right.
Yeah,
How about you,
much
Jake?
the same here. It's the same here in Wisconsin. Took the dog out before we went live, and actually a pretty nice night.
This podcast is presented to you by ChiCitySports.com. If you're interested in all things Chicago sports, this is your place. Go check out all the forums and all the great podcasts, the great merch, ChiCitySports.com. We are lucky tonight that we had an interview with DJ Hertz. He is a pitching prospect, actually the number 13 best pitching prospect in the Cubs system, according to MLB Pipeline. Young guy, I think he's 19, 20. I think he was drafted in 2019. Just been pitching great down for the Pelicans, Myrtle Beach Pelicans. And so we were lucky to be able to have an interview. So we're going to play that. It was pre-recorded. We're going to play that for you now to start this out. So take a listen to the interview with DJ Hertz.
Who gets him a beer after road wins?
From the Dingers Podcast, we are pleased to welcome DJ Hertz to the Dingers Podcast. He is currently the number 13th best prospect in the Cubs system, as according to the MLB Pipeline. Welcome to the podcast, DJ.
What's up, and thank you for having me, Mitch. This is really cool, and I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, so what's it like to kind of get back on the mound this year after a long layoff with the COVID year, and you got drafted in 2019 in the 8th round. So what was it like to kind of get back and actually see some live batters and pitch in an actual game?
Oh man, it feels so much. It feels like so much fun, and it feels like kind of being like a kid again, like when you wanted to get back into baseball. And just me, I love to compete, and so if we're not having that, I had to find other ways to compete. I picked up a golf game a little bit and video games and stuff, but I had to find a way to compete, and it just feels good to be doing it back on the mound where everything just feels so natural. And yeah, it feels really good.
Yeah, over the weekend, you had your longest outing. You pitched 5 1/3 innings. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yep. Gave up 2 hits, 1 earned run, 2 base on balls, and 5 Ks. There's been a lot of talk about you and your K rate being super high. I think Bleacher Nation, Brian Smith, has said that it's the highest K rate in the history of Fangraphs, which that's some amazing stat to be able to throw on your resume. But let's get into a little bit of what is your pitch arsenal? What pitches do you use this season?
So this season I've just used 4-seam fastball. I guess if you face it towards yourself, the horseshoes are in the inside. I try to just stay behind it and get that ride. And I think that's what plays so good on my fastball is the ride that it keeps. Or not ride, but like it's staying like true. And then a pitch that I learned in 2020 while we were in spring training in the pitch lab was this change-up grip that I got, and I'm trying to. It's off my middle finger with the horseshoe down, and I put it deep into the web so it has a lot of pressure. So when I throw it, I'm trying to kind of like pronate it, so it's coming out like a helicopter on a 9 degrees, and so it's just looking like a fast one. At the very last minute, it's dropping off. That pitch has been awesome. I threw that pitch every single day in the offseason because I heard that changeup is one of the hardest pitches to learn. So I wanted to get that pitch down, and it's been awesome to work off my fastball with it. And then another pitch that I learned in the pitch lab. Well, I already had the curveball grip, but just added the spike to put more pressure on the middle finger, and it's just a normal curveball grip. But yeah, we've been teetering with that, trying to get it back to how it was in 2020 spring training because it had a lot more spin efficiency and stuff. But it's getting back to how it was, and it's been turning on later in this year.
Now, when you're trying with your fastball, are you working more up in the zone rather than low in the zone?
Yeah, for sure. I'm definitely trying to stay totally chest up because that's when the ball gets more ride for me, and I can stay behind it a lot more. And I'm trying to live more up in the zone. But when I do stay up in the zone, that's when I can work their eye level back down, and then that's when it gets real fun when I can play up and down. But yeah, that's more what I'm trying to do instead of out to in, more up to down.
Now, do you work righties a little bit different than you would work lefties?
With the fastball, I mean, I would say yeah. I mean, with my lefties, with the crossfire, it comes so far like across that I'm just trying to stay outside, and they just have to punch the ball back if they want to even touch it. So with them, I'm just trying to stay out, and then I can work up. And then once we establish the outside, that's when we can break them in and get the broken bat stuff. But to righties, it's mainly just playing up, working in, get them in, and then working out. And once we establish like the up and stuff. But yeah, righties, I'm just trying to stay up most of the time.
Now, we've heard this term like pitch tunneling a lot. Is that something that you're trying to work your fastball and change up, kind of tunnel that in the same line, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. Especially with the fastball and curveball. The fastball, when I see it up and I see it's a good time to throw a curveball, or if I'm with Hearn or Casey Opitz, or when Pablo was down here, we would work that curveball right off that high ride and then just drop off at the end. And then when people are trying to cheat on the fastball, I try to tunnel the best I can with the changeup to just dive off left or run off the fastball. So, yeah, tunneling is definitely something I'm thinking when I'm on the mound for sure.
Yep. I watched your game on Saturday, and it seemed like I love the way, one, you pitch with a pretty fast rhythm out there. It seems like you get the ball, you're ready. I think there's a video out there circulating where you got a guy on a strike, and you had 2 strikes on him, and he called time on you, and you just stayed there on the mound. You didn't even step off. And as soon as he stepped in, got him with a curveball and sat him down, punched his ticket. So I love to see that.
Yeah, I remember that one. That was a good one. I think Greg posted that one. Greg Huss.
Yep.
But yeah, I remember in the game Saturday when me and Casey he was catching me. We were in the dugout. I was like, after the first inning, I was like, hey, we need to pick up the tempo, like just a little bit. It gives the hitters less time to think. It makes them think a lot more quicker and get in the box and get ready to go. So I think it's an advantage to me if I can play them to my game and make them work a lot faster and make them think quicker. So that's what I try to do. And Casey was like, "Oh, I love to hear that. Let's get it."
Yeah.
So,
and something even more I'd love to see is you pitch with emotion. You're out there, you have like a little strut after you K somebody, after you punch somebody's ticket. Do you have a name for that strut off the mound?
I do not have a name. It's just whatever happens. Well, I'll get with some guys and we'll try to figure out a name.
All right. What's it been like adapting to pitching a full season? Now, I mean, you came off, probably your last game that you pitched was probably high school ball besides like low A or low instructional league. So what's it like now pitching a full season? Has that been something that's kind of been a wear tear on your body, or you still felt pretty good?
Oh, my body feels great. I know there was one point in the season where my arm was getting really tired, and then the Cubs were just eye to eye with me. I didn't have to say none. They gave me a 10-day rest. I think they put me on the development list, which they did with all the pitchers, but my time came in perfect. And after that, it's been like just go, go, go. My velo's increased coming in the last part of the season. So just trying to figure out like routines and stuff. And this has been an awesome first year because I'm being able to learn. I'm being able to jot stuff down that I'm doing that works, and just trying to figure everything out to get to next season so we know what to expect. And it's been a long season, but I've had a blast, and it's been awesome.
Now, you just got to pitch in front of your hometown crowd. What was that like?
Oh, that was awesome. I think I heard on the broadcast they said it was one of the the most fans they've had at Woodpecker Stadium this whole season, and I think there was about 5,000 fans. And I remember my high school coach said he bought like 300 tickets or got 300 tickets just for all of my high school teachers and staff there. And I got to saw a lot of friends, and it was awesome. I remember when I came out the game and walked to go do my shoulder work during like the 5th inning. Everybody got on their feet, gave me a standing ovation, and it was really cool just to be a part of that. Even like pitching on like on the mound before the game and having all the people lined up, just talking to me, seeing to me, like taking pictures. It was a feeling that like you can't explain. It was awesome.
A little preview of the show when you get up there, right?
Yeah.
And you didn't pitch too shabby in that game. I think you had 10 Ks that game.
Yeah, 10 Ks, I think, 1 hit and 0 runs.
So what has it been like to kind of make adjustments throughout the year? I mean, you've had a really good year. I think you had one outing that was a little bit shaky. What adjustments have you kind of had to make throughout this year?
One adjustment that me and Clay Morrison, our pitching coach, just worked on when we were in Fayetteville. He was like, "Hey, we need to clean up the stretch a little bit." I was like, every time I got out of the stretch, it was kind of uncomfortable, and we figured out that I was like leaning when we were in the set position. I was leaning in the front instead of having my weight already in the back, so I could just shift down the mound. And we cleaned that up real quick. With that one shaky start that I gave up 9 runs in. I learned so much from that game. Just when like the fastball is not on, you gotta go to some other stuff. You gotta find other ways to get outs, and I feel like I've cleaned that up. When people are seeing my fastball, I'm able to do something different and figure out what's going to work in that certain day. So that's what I've been trying to do. Really good of is just adjusting during game, figure out what's working this day, what's working that day, and just going with the flow.
Yep. We're super excited as Cubs fans kind of for the next core to come through. I think you're going to be a big part of that next core, especially with the rotation. I've had an interview with Justin Steele. I think he's going to play a big part of that. So just excited to kind of see your growth through that. Who else on the Myrtle Beach team? I know there's some big names out there. You have Ed Howard is one of the big names that they just drafted last year. Who on the Myrtle Beach team do you love to watch play the game of baseball?
Oof, there's a lot because we got a lot of young guys that are super talented, and it's ridiculous. I'll definitely say Ed's glove. Anytime the ball's hit to him, it's like, oh, there's no doubt I can just walk off the field. But one of the funnest guys I think I've been like wanted to watch, or that I always watch, is Made. He's a ridiculous talent, and he works hard off the field, and he's just a ridiculous for 18 years old. It's honestly kind of nuts, and he's awesome. And then you got Owen Casey that just came down here, and his power is ridiculous. And he's so smart at such a young age, like in batter's box, and he's got a great eye. Those two are like the ones that reach out, and Ed's right there, and Ed's awesome. But yeah, I would say those 3 guys are probably the most fun to watch right now.
Now, I know you're a pretty athletic kid. You played football. You were starting quarterback for your high school. You played basketball. Can you hit? Are you a pitcher who can rake?
Oh, yeah. I think I definitely could. I think I was good at hitting fastballs. Now, curveballs, I would have to do a lot of practice and stay in the batting cage with. But fastballs, I was a really good fastball hunter. But I will see.
Now, I mean, I'm guessing probably by the time you get up there, there'll be DH in the NL, and so you won't ever get to hit. Yeah. So, what if there's one MLB batter right now that you would love to face? Who would it be, and how would you attack him?
Oh man, I have no idea. I mean, obviously, I want to maybe face the best, either Tatis or Shohei. Yeah, I would love to pitch to Shohei.
Lefty versus lefty on lefty. That'd be nice.
Yeah, I think I will try to go fastball in on him. Then depending on what happens with that, maybe try to get a chase curveball in the dirt. Then try to bring some high heat, and then maybe just let him see a changeup, even if it's a ball or strike. But I would trust my catcher a lot more than what I would be seeing because he's right there. So I don't know, but I think it would be awesome to face someone like that.
I mean, don't you get him out in MLB The Show?
Oh yeah. I was just playing my buddy right now.
Oh, who's winning?
I'm up 4-3 right now.
Nice. Now I have heard that your dad is your agent. Is that correct?
Yeah, he is.
Can you talk a little bit about your relationship with your dad? I mean, I think that's so cool. Like, I have a son. I remember how much of an influence in athletics and sports that my dad was, and trying to just like not push him, but just kind of foster his love of the sport. And I think your dad has done a great job with that with you. And so just kind of talk about how he's encouraged you, how he's been kind of the one, your coach, and also now an agent.
Oh yeah. I remember when I was 3 years old, my dad put a basketball in my hand and I shot it on the tiny goal with, like he said, perfect form and everything. And ever since then, like, his job was just coaching me. I remember like there was days where, especially when I was young, it was just practice basketball because that sport was full of repetition. And I remember I had a really good shot, and every day it would be practice. I remember there would be days where we had practice on Friday, go to the travel ball game on Saturday, play that game, then go back home and hit even more. And it was just always on the go. And I wouldn't be here without my dad, and that's 100% true. And he did so much for me, like just spend so much time with me and making sure, like, and one of my biggest things is probably my mental toughness. And I think that's what's part of my best game. And him ripping into me some games it gives you that mental toughness to let it go and get on to the next one. And yeah, I couldn't thank him enough. And I know we worked so hard for this, and it's just awesome to see all this hard work paying off.
So you talk a little bit about playing basketball. How do you think, like, I mean, especially nowadays with club stuff being so popular and people focusing on just one sport, how do you think that has helped you just be an athlete on the mound, that you've played football, you've played other sports? Do you think that's been a benefit to you as an athlete and as a competitor?
Oh yeah, 100%. I would give advice to any kid out there, if they're trying to play any sport, play as many as you can, because they're all just a lot of fun. And I would say football probably helped me one of the most out of any sport. Just as a freshman, having really good strength coaches and football coaches to push you. I was in the weight room every single day. I had it twice during my classes from freshman year all the way to senior. So I was in the weight room since a freshman, and that's where I got like a work ethic mentality. So I was doing all that ever since, like young, and basketball keeping you in condition for the next season of baseball, and then football going from transition to the next sport, to the next season, to the next one, and it all just builds up. And I think it's played a big part to how I'm playing today and where I'm at today.
So you said you had 3 more starts this season?
Yes, sir. I think they should be all on Saturday, I think.
All on Saturdays. So how is the Cubs kind of planning you in for the winter? Are they going to send you somewhere to work over the winter, or are you going to kind of take it low for a little bit, or what's kind of planned for the winter ball?
To be honest, we haven't heard much yet. I think we're just trying to get through the season as our main focus, and once we start getting to the later, like maybe I have no idea, because it's still my first season, so I don't know when the timetables are. But right now we haven't heard anything, and we're just focusing on keep playing baseball.
Yep. Yeah, well, I won't take up any more time. Thank you so much. It's exciting to watch you pitch. Exciting to kind of see your growth. I'm excited to kind of just see your progression through the minor league system, and hopefully soon you'll be with the big league in Chicago. And I know you've played at Wrigley Field, correct? At one time?
Yeah, no, I got actually invited, like after our senior season finished, I got invited to a pro workout day there. They dressed us in full Chicago pinstripe unis. We got to walk around the field. It was just basically a tour, and then I know some pitchers threw, but I threw literally the day before, and so I didn't get to throw. But I got to catch BP, so that was really cool, and we got to talk some front office guys. But it was awesome. It was the best tour I went on, and I went on like 4 or 5 different ones. So Wrigley by far kicked them all out the stadium.
Yeah, well, we're excited for you to someday be in the friendly confines, the federal landmark that is Wrigley Field, and toe that rubber and pitch us to a playoff berth and hopefully a World Series. So we're excited. Thank you so much for joining us on the Dingers podcast.
Oh yeah, thank you for having me. This was awesome again. I appreciate doing this. I like doing this stuff, so I appreciate it. Thank you so much, Mitch.
Hey, before you go, where can they find you on Twitter or Instagram? What's your handle?
Twitter is David John altogether, Herz, Herz. Instagram is DJ_Herz. And yeah, that's about it.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us. Have a good rest of the season. Good luck.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me. See you.
Yep. Bye. So that is, well, we got to remove that. So that was DJ Herz. It was great just to listen to him. You can just kind of feel his passion and his knowledge of the sport at being such a young age. Just felt comfortable. It was a great conversation. Great talking to him. And if you guys watched him at all, pitch at all this year?
No, but I'm hoping that one of his starts is going to be on the Marquee Network, like on one of the Saturdays. I know they got a couple Saturdays slated for the Myrtle Beach Pelicans, South Bend, and of course the iCubs. So I'm hoping I can catch him.
I think I've seen some pitching ninja breakdowns, if I remember right, but I haven't actually seen it in game.
Yeah, so I'm in the same boat. A lot of highlights, but not live yet. But I like that you called out his strut after he strikes someone out. That's right. You like to see that.
I workshopped a little bit. I don't know. I think he should make it the Hertz donut shuffle, or the Hertz donut strut. You know, he can name that, and
they can get sponsored by the Hertz donut that's in Des Moines.
You know, I know it's a little different, you know, spelling and whatnot, and maybe pronunciation, but you know, just lean into it.
Yeah, he definitely has some stuff. His stuff plays. His K rate is super high, and if you take out that one game where he gave up the 9, his ERA is like 2.38, and right now it's at like 3.64 or something like that. But I mean, he has one of the best ERAs. I think. Who was it? I think it's Brian Smith just put out all the stats for all the minor league hitters and all the minor league batters. He just tweeted it out. And you look at DJ Hertz, like he's right there. His K rate is the highest in all of the Cubs farm system, highest in probably all of minor leagues. And his ERA is low. His walk rate is pretty low. Like he's got the stuff that's gonna play in the big league system. I'm excited to kind of see his progression as he faces better hitters. Hopefully he gets bumped up next year to with South Bend, maybe. Let's take a look at our Tank Watch. Tank Watch brought to you by Toppling Goliath Brewing Company. If you have your beers, let's crack them.
Oh, I cracked mine earlier.
Oh, you cracked it. Couldn't wait.
Nope.
Oh, let's look at where we are sitting in the Tank Watch currently right now. Where do you guys do you think we gained ground or lost ground from last time?
I think we stayed.
I think we lost.
Actually, we lost ground. We were in the 6th spot. Now we're in the 7th spot.
Dang you Nationals and losing.
Come on.
So, we're still I want to get in the top 5. We have some work to do if we want to catch those Marlins and get in the top 5. I think the Pittsburgh Pirates are a little bit too far out of reach at this point.
You know, these 2 games coming up against Minnesota are going to be really important if we want to keep our lead.
Man, I tell you what, Pittsburgh, it must suck to suck. Christ.
Well, what's even worse in looking at this? Okay, so look at Baltimore. They're 40-89. They have a .310 win percentage. They are 43 games back of San Francisco, who has the best record in baseball. 43 games. That's more than a month of baseball that like they're behind. If you were to stack, it's just that's my.
How does that happen? I don't understand.
No good.
Or they need to rain out.
No good.
Well, and I don't know. You guys have any of you guys? I know Mitch has been watching Ted Lasso.
Oh yeah,
or whatever. Okay, I don't think Jeff has yet. But I just finished. Go ahead. I've just finished.
I haven't got
Apple
TV yet, so.
Oh, okay. We'll have to get you hooked up. We just watched the very end of the first season, and there's that scene where they talk about what happens if your team's really bad, and they're all like, "Well, you get demoted." And they're like, well, what do they do in America? Well, they play half-hearted, meaningless games to empty stadiums. And then the Coach Beard's like, it's dumb. Like, all right, well, here we go through the Cubs season.
Well, just think if it was like Euro soccer and they got demoted down to the minor leagues for a year. It's like, sorry, Baltimore, you're the worst in the MLB. You're now playing in the Pacific Coast League, and you have to earn your way back in. That'd be awesome. Maybe that will be one of the topics in the collective bargaining agreement that they have discussion this winter.
I know they're talking about anti-tanking measures for sure. Like it's been out there. It's been discussed. So I'm curious to see how they actually do it.
Yeah.
What was it called in Ted Lasso? What did they call it?
Relegation.
Relegation.
Yeah. Relegation. Yeah. Yep.
Not a soccer guy.
Yeah. I think it's
football. Sorry, gotta get it right. Football is life.
Hey Ross.
Yeah.
So well, speaking of British, real quick, what kind of tea do you drink with a queen? Anybody?
I don't know.
Tea?
What's that, Jake?
Queen tea?
No, royalty.
Oh, that's a lot better than my
I don't
garbage.
I don't speak the language. I'm not a dad. I don't know the dad jokes.
That's why I got it wrong too, Jeff.
Did you guys watch this weekend's games? Did you guys watch this weekend's games with the Sox?
Very half-heartedly, if you could even call it that. But basically, just the score updates.
Right.
That's
what I did.
So I noticed that Frank got me to pick first in the Dinger Challenge yesterday. The lone run.
Yeah, yep. And I rode Wisdom through the weekend. Lots of runs.
Yeah, you got Wisdom 2 games back to back. That was 4 dingers that you got. You're moved ahead, and I am only 1 dinger now ahead of Jeff. There was a one point where I was up like 14 dingers on you, and you've slowly crawled back. It's made it hard right now. There's not much to choose from. But you were speaking of Wisdom. You spoke of Wisdom. Let's take a look at Wisdom's Rookie of the Year watch, because now it is official. Like, Rookie of the Year watch is on. The dude has been just killing it with basically playing half a year. Put up, I think he's 1 dinger shy of KB's home run record for a rookie season. So 2 away from being the all-time Cubs rookie home run leader, which is just amazing.
Oh, let's see that fall.
And that's probably going to fall. It might fall this weekend. But he's just been on a tear, and you just love to see. And so when we look at kind of like where he stacks up, you have Jonathan India. And that's probably the one guy that is going to, I think, probably will take it over Wisdom. One, just because games played. Wisdom's only played 82 games. India is 120. He's played almost every single day. Has almost double the plate appearances. Big thing is his WAR, quite a bit higher than Wisdom. Where do you think Wisdom kind of stacks up in this group of guys?
Me personally, I think he's in first because Jonathan India plays for the Dick Ballers, and they're not a real baseball team. That Dylan Carlson plays in the most boring city in America, and Jazz Chisholm has an awkward name, and he's in Miami. That's weird.
Now I have to really quickly butt in and say that Jazz Chisholm may have the best name in baseball. I got to be honest with you.
Yeah. Jazz Chisholm.
I actually think, though, Mitch, the way that you framed the question from the beginning, you talk about the games played. I mean, Patrick Wisdom is only 0.9 WAR behind Jonathan India, and he's played 38 fewer games.
Yep.
That's pretty good. I mean, he's like you said, it's inevitable. He's going to break the Cubs home run rookie home run record. You look at the counting stats. I mean, the guy's been a stud in half a season of baseball. If he played a full season, he'd be on pace for over 50 home runs. So I don't know. I think a lot is going to be made up in September. I think it's very possible that Wisdom the league may readjust to him again. So it's going to be interesting to see if he can continue to kind of fight back. I really think he's got a legitimate shot, especially after this past weekend, man. He hit the cover off the ball.
Yeah, and something you kind of noticed, and we kind of even questioned when he first got on the scene, and he did really, really well, and then went through a little struggle. I remember, Jake, you were on that episode, and we talked about, most of his dingers have been coming off early, off fastballs. Pitchers will adjust to that, and they did, and he struggled for a little bit, but then he kind of bounced back and started hitting off speed stuff. And now, every single time he's kind of gone through a little bit of a lull, it's week and a half where he struggles, and then he picks it back up. The one thing is his K rate is pretty high. Do you think that's an issue, Kevin?
It might be, but it's one of those. He's a power guy. He's probably going to be a high K guy, and yes, our focus has been contact, but you still want a couple power hitters in your lineup. I think it was Joe Kilgallen on Locked On this morning was talking about Wisdom would be, maybe he was talking about Happ at the time, but Wisdom would be a good 4, 5, 6 batter, kind of put him right before somebody like Nico, somebody who's a high contact guy, to kind of protect him behind him, but have him where there's probably a batter or two or a runner or two on base, and then he crushes a dinger, he's going to score more than one, and yeah, he's going to have some strikeouts offsetting that, but I don't know. I like his approach. He has adjusted to what the league has thrown at him so far, and yeah, you're going to have those little periods where he has to adjust back once the pitchers kind of figure him out at the time period. But he's shown that he can do it. I'm excited to see him a full season. Like Jake said, I mean, if you extrapolate out his numbers, he's hitting 50 dingers in a year. Take that all the time. Yeah.
Any of those stats that kind of jump out at you guys that this might be what separates India and Wisdom. This might be something that will benefit Wisdom over India. What do you guys think?
Go ahead, Jake.
The team component may come down to it. I think because the Reds are in the second wild card spot right now, or at least to start the weekend, I think they were. So
I think they still are.
And I think he's been an integral part to a team that's in playoff contention. I don't know how much that gets weighed. Obviously, that's typically more weighed in MVP voting than Rookie of the Year voting. But if there is a deciding factor at the end, if they have to pick between India and Wisdom, and it's close at the end of September, that could be it.
Yeah, I would hate to see that's what determines it. I want the actual play on the field to determine who wins Rookie of the Year. You have to kind of give a little bit to Wisdom because he can play first base. He's played third base. He's played outfield positions. He's kind of like our, I don't want to say a less version of Bryant because he's putting up big numbers, but he's doing things that we expected Bryant out. Now we've moved him over to kind of third base just to kind of see how he's going to handle being an everyday third baseman. And I mean, he plays a good third baseman. He can pick it and his bat plays. He is definitely a guy that is going to be in the conversation to be an everyday starter going forward for this team. And so that's where I'm really excited to kind of see him play. And this second half of the season. That's why I've wanted to see, is just to see him play every day and see how he can handle playing third base. And he's done a great job at playing third base, and his stick hasn't really dropped that much. And that's what you love to see. It's kind of where we are kind of at the same point where we are with Ian Happ. If we can transition to talking about Ian Happ.
Smooth.
It's where are we with Ian Happ? And I'm the one, let's see him play every day, because we need to see who we have in Ian Happ. We need a little bit bigger sample size. And I know I put out a message on Twitter saying that I apologize for almost giving up on Ian Happ. I want to apologize to Cubs fans and to Ian Happ. In the amount of responses I got on that one small tweet, like that was like 3 or 4 days ago, and there's still like 2 guys even currently right now that are like, if they were in a room together, they'd probably be fighting, throwing fists right now. Like they were heated. So what's your guys' thoughts on Ian Happ?
Jake, why don't you start? I know you're a big fan of Mr. Ian Happ.
Yeah, so Mitch put in a bunch of numbers about his career rates. Career batting average 233, 2019 in AAA or in 2019 at MLB level was striking out over 30% of the time. Played 58 games that season at the MLB level. But I think what it all comes down to for me, you guys know I'm a big stats nerd. I'm going to take a look at the WRC plus. So WRC plus is it shows you how a player performs offensively against the rest of the league average, with 100 being average. So in his career, Ian Happ is a career 109 WRC plus, so he's 9% above league average, which means he's a decent player in his career, despite what his career slash line might say. In 2019 and 20, though, he was a 128 WRC plus and 132 WRC plus player in those seasons, respectively. So that's obviously going to play for every team in this league, and be on the brink of like being the best player on that team, as we kind of saw he was last year when everything was going right. But of course, there's the high K rate. So his career K rate is 30.7%. And to kind of compound matters, even though he's been really hot in August, he's been striking out at a 36.7 rate. So obviously higher than his career rate, and actually the highest rate for any month this season. And actually, I think that was compounded, yesterday. I want to say he struck out in every one of his at-bats. So that just kind of highlighted the problem that we're seeing with him. He's just very, very up and down.
Consistent.
But I still believe the consistency is important, or the lack thereof, I should say.
Consistently striking out.
Yeah. Striking out a third of the time is not great. While getting a hit a third of the time is great, striking out a third of the time is not. But I think there's a little bit of hope left to be had, because his last 2 seasons, he had lower K rates at 27.3% last season and 25% in 2019, actually, at the MLB level when he came back and was able to turn things around. And that's closer to the league median of about 24%, which obviously, if you can get at that rate, is going to lead to better results, especially if he combines it with his 11.7% walk rate, which is good for 82nd percentile in the league this year. So he's walking at a great rate still, despite striking out at a high rate. So it kind of comes down to the question of, aside from the strikeout rate, the slash line still isn't looking very good. So what's wrong right now? Can he fix it long term? And is it worth it for the Cubs to keep waiting it out for him? I want to answer the first part of that, or the last part of that question first, and say right now we have no reason not to wait it out. There's nobody waiting in the wings. Somebody,
Jake froze
before the end of the season. We'll be lucky to see him in September of next. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you just popped back.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Yeah, my Wi-Fi has been kind of shoddy. We're not going to see Brendan Davis till next year. But that's exactly why Ian Happ deserves more time. He's got some kind of swing issues that we're seeing. Obviously, he's having trouble with high fastballs. That's nothing new. He's hitting the ball on the ground higher than he ever has in his career, though, while he's pulling it more than he ever has in his career. So he's very predictable at the plate, and that's leading to his lowest career BABIP of 256 when he's typically in like the 310, 320 range. And that's going to make a big difference if he can straighten the swing back out and get a little bit more loft on the ball, because he is like the epitome of the fly ball revolution. That's what he should be doing. So if you see him hitting the ball on the ground, that's a problem. But that's also, if the give and take there then too is he's got to figure out how to adjust to the high fastball if he's going to be an effective player. So that's a lot that I just spit at you guys. Anything I can clarify there? I do think that we ride him out obviously for the rest of the season. If he stays hot in September, he's on the team next year. If not, I do think he's a non-tender candidate for sure. And
I will say on, I think it was Friday night's game, they talked about his stats of getting the ball in the air, and with especially off-speed pitches, he hits the ball on the ground. I think it was like 46% of the time it's a ground ball, and it's a weekly it's like Jason Hayward, like ground ball rate.
Roger Dorn.
So I don't know. I just thought that was interesting that like it has improved over the last month, that rate is now down to like 36, but it's still not great. So Jeffrey, what are your thoughts on
Jake gave us a ton to digest, more than a Thanksgiving dinner that bust your belt. I'm sure he created a lot of headaches. My head hurts after listening to all these stats. My problem with Ian is I really, after watching him last year, I thought, great, he's going to come back with a better sense of confidence, and he's going to be a better player and play really well this season. And he's kind of shit the bed a little bit. I mean, the up and down, the K rate drives me nuts. Sometimes when I watch him bat, like I feel like he's swinging an 8-foot 2x4. Like it just seems long. Like he almost needs to just choke up and and try to put the ball in play and try to hit it with or not. I mean, I don't know if he's trying to like hit it over the fence, the wall every time, but it just seems super, super long swing. To be honest with you, there's only been 3 months in his career, his entire career, Jake, that he's hit over 250. I mean, that's kind of. Do you think he is somebody that you want the Cubs to use as part of the foundation?
No, I think Ian Happ is a complementary piece, and I think if Happ had been hitting the way that he's hitting now, before the All-Star break, I think we would have seen a completely different Cubs team, because having his presence in the lineup would have made a big difference.
So for a complementary piece on the team, where would you like that batting average to be? I'm thinking like 270, 275.
I was going to say
honestly.
265. Yeah.
So for me, he's got some work to do in the offseason, because, like you said, with Brennan Davis not coming up for at least another season, I believe he's got a year left. Whether he plays every day next season or not, I don't know yet. But yeah, the strikeout rate's got to come down a bunch for me. I mean, he does play really good defense, and I honestly thought at the beginning of the season, like, he was super cold and he started to get hot, and then him and Horner ran into each other, and that kind of sidelined him. So who knows what we could have seen? We could have talked about that last week as one of our alternate universe things. I don't know. True. But you never know. You just never know what would have happened if that collision didn't happen. Maybe he would have been probably one of the hottest hitters for the month of baseball that month. I don't know. But that's my thoughts on it. If he's going to be a complimentary piece, he's got to cut down the K rate a little bit, and he's got to bring that BA up till he's 260, 265, somewhere in there.
Yeah,
and I kind of thought over the last couple of weeks he's improved. He had been improving a bit. Yeah, yesterday's game was rough, but he had been improving quite a bit, and it seemed like he moved to left field, and he got quite a bit more confidence back. Kind of just seemed to, or I can't remember. There was somebody I was reading about that talked about that talked about his moving to left.
Talked about it on air.
Yeah, that's right.
It was Sutcliffe, and I broke down the stats. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Yep. And Yeah, just that move seemed to have helped him for a little bit. I'm a little worried. Maybe it's one game, yesterday. But if that was a honeymoon phase, and then he's coming back down again. But if it takes moving him out of center, getting him into left to kind of settle him down and get his confidence back up, I think that'd be great moving forward. I agree. I think he's got another year. He's got a prove it year next year, which we just lived through a prove it couple of months before the trade deadline. So great. We'll do that again. Roll it on back. But I almost kind of imagine him a little bit like Starlin Castro. He's going to be a guy that would be polarizing for the fan base for a year while they're pulling all these other guys up, and then he's going to end up disappearing while the new core arrives. Is kind of how I imagine him right now. It seems just on first blush.
Yeah. Well, he is very polarizing, and we're not going to know who really Ian Happ is until he gets more time. And I know people said, well, he's had enough time. We've seen enough of Ian Happ, and we've seen a lot of glimpses. And so that's what kind of gives us hope, is because you see stretches where it all comes together, it all clicks, and he puts together some really great at bats. And so it's kind of going to be for the front office is he going to be a piece that works together with the other pieces on the team, that his K rate, we can deal with his K rate being high. I mean, and in 2016, we dealt with Jason Hayward not being able to hit the ball in the infield and striking out all the time. We dealt with it and we got through it and we won a World Series. We can do it with another one him. Now we can't do it with Jason Hayward and Ian Happ on the same team. So one of them is going to have to go. So yeah, but he's polarizing. Is he good or is he bad? We don't have the answer to that. He's good and bad. He's kind of like Jekyll and Hyde. He kind of goes back and forth there with that. Other news in baseball, the Cardinals have signed Yadier Molina to a 1-year, $10 million deal. And I took a lot of heat from Cardinal fans. Apparently they don't like to hear that Jason Kendall has a better WAR and better offensive stats in almost every category than their first ballot, what they say first ballot Hall of Famer in Yadier Molina.
I'll tell you what, that guy ain't no Johnny Bench. I'll tell you that right now.
Well, some of the tweets at me was, if this is a representation of your podcast, I can already tell it sucks. And then one was, your team and your podcast sucks. And one was, I can tell your podcast content is a smash hit. Well, so that was kind of a compliment there.
I think it is a smash hit, and anybody that says it sucks. Great comeback. Well thought out. Not.
Well, the thing is, they never came back with any stats. All the people that and there was a lot of them. There was a lot of them that want to attack the Cubs, but not one of them came back with actual stats of proving. I mean, Yadier Molina is good. He's a good ball player. He's not what they think he is.
Did anybody come at you with the Foolish Baseball video? Because Foolish Baseball, did you watch it?
Yep.
I got to tell you, Mitch, I watched I went into that video thinking, no way Yadi's a Hall of Famer. I came out of that video thinking, all right, I could be convinced.
The thing is, his
defensive statistics are big. And talking about his playoff statistics, I mean,
he tends to.
The guy's a winner. He's definitely a winner.
He is.
He manages a great pitching staff. Like, I mean, he can really call a game. I will give him that. But he once could not find a baseball that was stuck to his chest protector. And he looked like a jackass looking for the ball.
Well, when he wore the gold chest protector and everything, that killed me. I'm like,
I mean, I don't think he's as good as he thinks he is. And so is he going to be a Hall of Famer? Yes, he will be a Hall of Famer. Whether we like it or not, he will get voted into the Hall of Fame. I believe that.
Yeah.
He's good. He's amazing. He's a good defensive player. I will give him that.
I tell you what, if it was between him and Henry Blanco, I'm taking Henry Blanco, because if I get in a fight in an alley, Henry Blanco's killing somebody.
Probably
was a garbage dumpster.
if we're bringing old Cubs catchers into the mix, or I mean Chicago catchers into the mix, do you know who actually has comparable offensive career statistics to Yadier Molina?
JT Barrett or Michael
Pierzynski.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was comparing. If you look at the baseball reference page to see like comparable players, I think Pierzynski was maybe like he was on the top 10 list, like comparable players to Yadier Molina. And I looked at his numbers. I looked at Kendall's numbers and Molina's numbers, all similar. So it is the defense and the game management that sets them apart. And listen, Cubs fans listening to me right now are pissed that I'm caving, but watch the Foolish Baseball video, and some of you might understand where I'm coming from.
Yeah,
it's worth a watch too. It is a really interesting video. Like it's very well done.
It is. The thing is, I think that maybe I need to not talk down Yadier Molina as much and need to talk up Jason Kendall, because he was a very good baseball player that doesn't get his dues and doesn't get talked about enough.
How many teams went after Jason Kendall around the trade deadline to kind of shore up their backstop and add a bat?
Yeah.
I mean, everybody wanted him.
Yep.
Nobody wants Yadier Molina. He's still in the same boring town he started in. Nobody wants him.
Well, speaking of free agents, let's transition to speaking about free agents. We've talked a lot about and we can kind of wrap up this with this talk about free agents. Who do we need to go get to fill in the pieces to make sure that we are competitive next year? When we talk about this, we kind of look at like there's two spots in our defense or position wise that we need to fill. It's a shortstop and it's pitching that I think could make a big difference, or just a big bat that can have some pop, especially when you have a Madrigal and you have a Horner and you have all these contact guys. What is somebody that we need to go out and get?
My three out of all these on the list, I'm taking Trevor Story at short, Seager second, if he's my second choice, even though he's oft injured. Pitching, probably either Stroman than Thor. Just because he's got a bitchin' name, and when he grows his long hair, that's awesome. And then outfield, Big Stick Nick. Bring the guy back to Chicago.
Yep.
Right.
Those are my picks.
So you're getting three.
Five picks. Well, you're not going to want it two.
So you're signing everybody in the offseason. Got it.
I'm loose with the checkbook.
Man, you should own the Cubs. I like that.
What do you think, Kevin?
Ooh. This is where the nostalgia starts like coming in, and with the other stuff that's going on, I'm like, Javi might be real cheap this offseason. So there's one.
He's colorful.
Yeah.
He's very colorful.
Right. I kind of like the idea of Noah Syndergaard and Kevin Gausman.
Yep.
I think that's an interesting combo because you kind of pick up a front end guy and a kind of maybe back end guy ish, or another one of those kind of underrated pitchers. I want to see Big Stick Nick back. That would be fantastic. I think that he would bring a lot of morale back into the clubhouse, I think.
Yeah. For me, I'm not a big Noah Syndergaard fan. I think he was talked about so much in 2015, and we saw him dominate the Cubs. And then since then, he's just injured so much, and I just don't trust spending the money on somebody that is going to be injured. And I kind of relate that a little bit to Corey Seager. I love Corey Seager, but it seems like every single time, like the Cubs have played the Dodgers, Corey Seager's never in the lineup. And he's never there because he's injured a lot. Like, yeah, he's a great bat. I think he plays a great shortstop. He is pretty tall, and that's for being a big guy playing shortstop. That's a lot of wear and tear on the body, and I don't know. Baez, I think we could get cheap. I think, especially right now, I think that might be something the Cubs consider and something that would bring a little bit of excitement back into Wrigley. And I know Ricketts likes to do that with the Arrieta signing this year. They like to kind of do that sort of thing. I don't know if it'd be best for the overall moving forward of the team. I know Trevor Story made a comment saying that he would love to play at Wrigley. That's one that's like, I don't know if Trevor Story, he was played at Coors Field for all these years. I don't know if I trust that as my everyday shortstop. I don't know. I like Marcus Semien. He bet on himself. I like him. Carlos Correa is the name that kind of sticks out, that I think he's legit, has a really high WAR, has won championships. I think that's an interesting go get, and we have to go get Nick Castellanos. It has to happen. So those are mine. What do you think there, Jake?
Yeah, I think Story's had a down year on top of the Coors effect coming into play, and we saw it on display in that Cubs Rockies series. They talked about it on the broadcast. He's clearly not been himself at shortstop defensively this year, and the bat has really lagged behind too. If you asked me a year or two ago, I would have loved to have Trevor Story, but right now I'm pretty down on him, depending on what he's going to command on the market. I love Javi Baez. I know we're going to talk about it. I love what's going on in New York right now, but I've moved on. I've moved on. I don't think we can get sentimental. I think we have to figure out how best to complement this roster, and I think it is very clear. I mean, Carlos Correa is going to make any team better. If you can get Carlos Correa, especially at his age, I think he's still 27. You sign him. You signed him yesterday, but he's going to be the most competitive one. The market's going to be most competitive for him. So it comes down to Corey Seager, and I've been on record with you guys. I've tweeted about it a bunch. I'm team Corey Seager, and you bring up the injury history, and some of it's kind of freak. You know, he was out with Tommy John surgery for a year, and then he had a broken hand this year. There have been some soft tissue injuries in there, but I don't think there's been anything like any rehash of seeing the same thing twice. So. And you mentioned his height, and he's not the best defensive glove at shortstop of this list, but maybe you move him to third. Maybe you give him a year at shortstop and you move him to third. And if Horner can play shortstop, or if one of the young guys is a stud and can come up quickly, then I think that all works out. I'm very interested, and I think the Cubs they better be involved in the shortstop market. Pitching, I agree with the Syndergaard take. I think it's tough. He's had really maybe 1.5 good seasons. How many years ago? But if you can get him on a cheap deal, like I heard someone throw out like 3 years, $30 million. I would take that risk at 29 years old with the upside that he has, and we need an arm. I'd take that risk. By the end of that contract, we should have guys from our farm system, if they pan out, coming in to replace him if he's not doing it. And then finally, I think Nick Castellanos do some fan service. Give us something to watch on Marquee next year. Give us a reason to watch pre and post game with his interviews. Spend the money. The only thing I could see is if it's dead money, if we find out that that's the only free agent we can sign, and our competitive window doesn't really line up, then that's like I can see that excuse. But regardless, I think whatever happens this offseason, we're going to have to see some creativity from Hoyer next year, because even if the Ricketts are willing to spend, we got to see him play more of the waiver wire. I think he missed on some guys this year. Jorge Mateo of the Padres now is crushing it. He was a former top prospect. He's now crushing it with the Orioles. Connor Joe, we just saw him with the Rockies. Outfielder, and David Dahl is kind of a post-hype prospect that had one really good season with the Rockies and kind of has fallen off, but he's now crushing it with the Brewers. So of course, if he gets called up with the Brewers, we're really going to be shaking our heads. So, and listen, especially if we don't sign anybody this offseason, take a shot in the Rule 5 draft. We talked about this before the pod. Akil Baddoo is you're lucky to get someone like that. It's typically not going to happen like that. Usually the Rule 5 guy is a bullpen arm, but take risks, be active on the waiver wire like it's a fantasy baseball team. That's what the Giants have done, and it's worked for him, and Jed's got to get in that same lane.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, there's a lot of arms, and I'm sure throughout the offseason we're going to be talking a lot about deciding who to go after, or who are we going to try to take chances on. of those conversations moving forward. Let's touch a little bit on the Javi situation. I know it's been talked about a lot today. It's I get from a player you hate being booed. I get it, and I get us as fans, we need to be better in how we support our players. Just being like knowing New York fans,
dude,
they're bad. They're bad fans. And
what do you
whether
expect from people that live in Queens?
But like you look at like the Knicks. You look at like the Knicks right now. It's like the Knicks are a garbage basketball team. They play in freaking New York City. They should be like the mecca of basketball, and they suck.
Madison Square Garden.
Because no free agents want to go sign there because nobody likes to play. Like Patrick Ewing got treated like crap, and nobody wants to go there. Unless you're the Yankees, you're not going to be supported until death. Like the Yankees, if you're a Yankee, you are supported until death. Any other team in New York, if you are playing bad, they will let you hear it and treat you like crap. And for Javi, it's like, like you boo us, we're gonna boo you when we do good. Like I kind of liked it.
Yeah. Who was the guy who went 3 for 4 the other night?
Conforto, and then
Conforto. He goes 3 for 4, strikes out on his last at bat and got booed. Like, yeah, that really take a 75 hitter any day during a game, and you're gonna boo.
He's gonna be a free agent too, so he's gonna be out. He's gonna be out of there.
Yeah. Yep.
I think a lot are gonna try to get out of New York. I mean, you got Cohen there to spend money, but no, the fans are gonna almost ruin and not get the free agents. Nobody wants to come there. And I'm sure if you're Lindor and you're Baez and you're out there talking to your buddies who are on other teams, and they talk like, how's it like playing in New York? And it's like, oh, it's horrible. The fans hate us here. Like,
dude.
And then you ask Javi, how was it playing in Chicago? Oh, they loved me. They chanted my, like, there's a difference. Like, there's a difference.
I struck out all the time and they cheered.
But they're like that says something. That's like why a lot of people are not going to want to go to New York.
It's got to be like a regional thing in the country. You know, like we got Midwesternized here. You know, you got East Coast assholes and you got the West Coast idiots. But like live or die, I mean, Cubs fans are Cubs fans, whether they're winning, they're losing, whatever. You always support the team. Other places, it's not like that. Like you win 3, you lose 3 or 4, and sell everybody, screw them, get rid of them.
We did how many minutes of this podcast looking for reasons to cheer for Ian Happ that like every other fan base in the country would be like, get him out of here. Right. We are eternal optimists, always looking for reasons to support our players.
Yeah.
And I mean, like I said, I love Javi. I'm so glad that he's talking back. I would expect nothing less from him. Mm-hmm. But yeah, New York is. What did they expect? What did they expect when they got into the deadline?
Like, did they not do their research on who Javi Baez is? It's like,
swings often and early. It pitches out of the zone.
So we'll just give 2 thumbs down. And we started a thing. We have like almost like 400 tweets now at us of like I said, hey, in support of Javi, let's give me an emoji, 2 thumbs down, and it's kind of taken off. So go out there, do that on Twitter because we need to support Javi, and we still love Javi even though he plays for somebody else. That does it for episode 55 of the Dingers podcast. Thank you, DJ Hertz, for joining us, and until next time, go Cubs.
Go Cubs.
Good night, John Boy.